Imagine the heartbreaking reality for a child who misses out on vaccines. A reality that can spiral into a relentless and life-threatening cycle of illness. This very scenario is playing out for a 2-year-old boy in Sudan who has never been vaccinated. First, he fell ill with pneumonia, a dangerous lung infection. Then, tonsillitis took a deadly turn and escalated into sepsis, a critical body-wide infection. After battling malaria, the treatments helped temporarily. But soon, the other illnesses returned, trapping him in an exhausting loop of sickness. His mother, Alzraa Fadul, shares her sorrow through an interpreter. "I was deeply saddened. I knew these illnesses could have been prevented if vaccines were available." The 26-year-old mother carries a heavy burden of guilt, saying, "I feel powerless to help my son. I worry about him every single day. I should have vaccinated him, but I had no way to do so." Unfortunately, in their current situation, there simply is no access to vaccines. Alzraa and her family live in an abandoned classroom in Kosti, Sudan, crowded with 10 strangers. Not too long ago, Sudan was celebrated for impressive vaccination efforts, including successful campaigns against yellow fever and polio that led to a polio-free status, a milestone achieved just a decade ago. But everything changed in April 2023 when conflict erupted into civil war. The violence made Sudan one of the countries with the highest percentages of unvaccinated newborns worldwide last year, with more than half of the country's babies missing all immunizations. Her son is just one of the 14 million children globally who receive no vaccines at all. We are truly in the epicenter of this crisis, says Sheldon Yett, UNICEF's representative in Sudan. He emphasizes that over 70% of health facilities in conflict zones are destroyed or non-functional. Children who might have otherwise survived the many hazards in Sudan are now far more vulnerable. Life is harsh and grim in these areas. Countries like the Central African Republic, Papua New Guinea, and Yemen face similarly dire challenges with their immunization systems, particularly those embroiled in ongoing wars like Sudan and Yemen. Shockingly, around 55% of unvaccinated children live in these conflict-affected regions. Dr. Naor Barzeev, a pediatrician and vaccine expert at the World Health Organization, paints a sobering picture. Growing up in these turbulent environments means that children face odds stacked heavily against their health and survival. And here's the part many don't realize. Although vaccine hesitancy is often blamed for missing immunizations, experts insist that in these regions, it's not the primary culprit. Instead, the main barriers are caregivers' lack of awareness and, more critically, the absence of accessible healthcare services. Alzraa echoes this truth, saying, "It wasn't my decision not to vaccinate my child. War prevented me. I would sell everything I have to get those vaccines for him." So what illnesses pose the greatest threat to children without vaccines? Dr. James Conway, an infectious diseases specialist, uses a helpful analogy. Doctors focus on the horses, the common dangerous diseases, not the zebras, which are rare complications. The most prevalent horses in this context are pneumococcal disease and rotavirus infections. Pneumococcal disease often leads to pneumonia, the leading cause of death among children under 5 worldwide, killing about 700,000 young children annually. Rotavirus, meanwhile, is the chief cause of severe diarrhea in low-resource countries. Dr. Conway explains that these diseases are especially perilous in crowded living conditions, because cramped spaces increase the chance of transmission. Tight quarters mean more frequent person-to-person contact, while limited access to clean water and sanitation fuels the spread of diarrhea-causing pathogens. It's like a bucket of gasoline waiting for a match. Once an infection starts, it can spread rapidly, he says. Vaccines against both pneumococcal disease and rotavirus have been available for decades and are part of many immunization programs worldwide. Yet, in places ravaged by conflict, access to even the most basic healthcare and vaccinations is severely compromised. Beyond vaccines, Other factors amplify the risks. Malnutrition weakens the immune system by reducing critical immune cells, making children more susceptible to infections and worsening their outcomes. Deficiencies in vital nutrients like vitamin A can drastically increase the chances of severe complications or death from diseases such as measles. Dr. Conway highlights the vicious cycle that can develop. When a child is malnourished, their immune response is impaired. If they get infected, the body demands more energy to fight the illness, which the child doesn't have, worsening their condition quickly. Pneumonia, for example, causes early symptoms such as coughing and difficulty breathing. The infection damages lung tissue, making it harder for the child to breathe. Imagine trying to breathe through a soaked sponge. When the lungs can't exchange oxygen effectively, a child's organs receive less oxygen, which can be fatal. Severe blood pressure drops further deprive vital organs of oxygen, and some children have been reported to succumb to pneumonia within just 2 days. Yet pneumonia isn't the only threat. Diarrhea is another major killer, especially caused by the rotavirus in the developing world. While diarrhea is often manageable in wealthier countries thanks to clean water and rehydration therapy, in low-income regions, access to such treatment is inconsistent or absent. Dr. Conway stresses oral rehydration therapy is a lifesaver, but it's not always available where it's needed most. Malnutrition again worsens these outcomes. Studies show children with malnutrition experiencing diarrhea are 4 times more likely to die than well-nourished children. The combination of poor vaccine coverage and lack of treatments results in diarrhea being responsible for about 10% of under 5 deaths in low-income countries. Dehydration from diarrhea and vomiting can quickly escalate, leading to severe lethargy, unconsciousness, and death if untreated. Even children who survive these vaccine-preventable illnesses can face long-term complications. Diseases like measles and mumps can cause permanent damage, not directly from the viruses themselves, but from the body's immune response. Hearing loss occurs in 5 to 10% of measles cases, while other complications can include blindness, infertility, and intellectual disabilities, all stemming from damage to sensitive nerve tissues that don't easily regenerate. Here's a controversial question worth pondering. Should global health priorities focus more on immunizing not only children, but also adolescents and adults, especially pregnant women? For example, newborns can suffer greatly if their mothers lack immunity to diseases like measles, rubella, or tetanus. In many low-resource settings, adult immunization is rare, leaving babies vulnerable to infections that can cause miscarriage, stillbirth, or severe congenital defects. Take rubella. If a fetus survives an early infection, the child may be